Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
So we can write when the person is walking out of the courtroom. We can write when the person is crying. We can also write in our record as we're writing in the courtroom when there's a long pause for an answer.
You may know what a court reporter is, but do you know exactly what they do? Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll tell you more about what exactly the job entails. Good evening and thanks for joining us here for CBS7 News at 9 on the CW. And thanks to those of you joining us live on our CBS7 YouTube page. I'm Jay Hendricks. We start tonight with a story that is all new at 9 o'clock. Midland ISD has sent out a statement regarding a student involved in a hit and run saying, quote, Midland Independent School District and Idea Public Schools have been made aware that a child involved in a hit and run accident was a student at Idea Travis. Our thoughts and prayers are with the student and their family. CBS7 has reached out for more information. We will, of course, keep you updated as we get more information. The Odessa Chamber of Commerce celebrating a huge milestone this year as they have reached their 90th anniversary. The Chamber of Commerce has been helping local businesses for 9 decades, and their goal remains unchanged, and that is to help those businesses expand. They do this by helping to lay the foundations and advertising them when they're ready to open their doors and putting them in a business catalog. One Odessa store owner says it was a complete game changer for his pharmacy.
It's kind of been lucky all along the way. A lot of independent pharmacies don't stay open, and there's more and more closing all the time. So, yeah, it's hard to say what would have happened, but I'm glad they were there.
Throughout its 90 years, the Chamber will be highlighting past successes, such as being one of 77 chambers across the nation to reach over 1,000 members.
Areas that we're really focusing on is how the past 90 years we have been building Odessa, and we want to continue to build Odessa. You know, we're a growing community. We have new companies coming in each and every day. We need to make sure that they have a workforce that is trained and skilled.
The Chamber hopes those successes will continue and that they keep growing in the community, and say they're excited to see about new projects coming to Odessa. Time to talk your weather forecast now. If you were outside today, it definitely felt a little cool out there. Will that trend stick around? Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Tom Teeferteller. Tom?
Yeah, let's take a look at those high temperatures that we saw today and seeing readings so far into the lower 60s, right at 60 out of the Miller National Air and Spaceport. The average high this time of the year is about 62 degrees, so really close to that. It was a little cooler down in those mountain areas, upper 50s this afternoon. Thanks to the high clouds that we've been dealing with, they stay a little thick out there. And we're going to see more of that in our forecast overnight tonight and tomorrow. Cloudy skies are expected. Winds have calmed down quite a bit across the area. Seeing gusts below 20 miles an hour, and those temperatures really cooling off. Definitely jacket weather here in the Permian Basin as we're all the way down to 47 out towards Midland, 49 in Odessa. Some cloudy changes to our forecast. We're going to keep the clouds around for the end of the week and into the weekend with a cool front. Well, I should say a cold front because it's going to have some colder air with it. Also the possibility of some rain showers, even a rain-snow mix for parts of West Texas, but not expecting any travel issues. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Today, a cybersecurity forum specifically tailored for small business owners was held in West Texas, hosted by the Midland Community Theater. In fact, the forum was at the Midland Community Theater. The forum actually titled Protect Your Business is in response to increasing statistics on cyber attacks targeting small businesses. Expert guest speakers at the event included the head of cybersecurity at Morgan Stanley, a consultant with Concentrix, an IT firm out of Lubbock, and the former lead of the FBI in Midland. Participants also learned about the latest trends in cybercrime and received guidance on developing comprehensive security strategies, and also discussing the emergence of new threats that are posed by artificial intelligence, such as phishing, social engineering, ransomware, and check fraud, along with strategies to defend against those tactics.
Small businesses went into the business either to make money or they were passionate about what they were doing, and cybersecurity is just an offshoot of something they have to do, and we want to just give them practical tips so that they can do what they love to do.
The forum will be an annual event moving forward as the digital landscape evolves and cybersecurity remains an ongoing concern for small businesses. AAA is reporting gas prices are fluctuating in West Texas and across the state. According to a report from AAA, Midland is seeing the most pain at the pump in all of Texas, averaging around $2.94 a gallon. Meanwhile, drivers in Odessa are paying $2.88 a gallon. Now the average price of gas across the country currently stands at $3.15. Gas is down around 29 cents compared to last year's numbers, and gas prices remain 23 cents less per gallon in Texas compared to this same time a year ago. Next week, the Midland City Council is voting to approve a special election to fill the at-large seat held by the late Dan Morales. If approved, the election will be held on May 4th. Midlanders would have from February 13th to March the 4th to file to run in that election, and because it is an at-large seat, the vote will be citywide. It is National Court Reporting and Captioning Week, a time to highlight what court reporters do. It's different than when journalists go into the court because court reporters have to record and transcribe every word spoken in court. Like any other job, it has its own challenges and rewards. One issue facing the future of court reporters is AI technology. That's because it could be cheaper to use that and solve the current shortage of court reporters, even though it might not capture the emotional aspect of a courtroom. The shortage of court reporters has required some counties to lend their own to other counties, which leaves already short-staffed courthouses with less employees.
I almost cried last week, but a lot of times whenever we get in situations like that, I know for me, I personally disconnect and I turn off the kind of what I hear. I know that may sound hard to imagine, but I do kind of quit listening.
Odessa College used to certify people, but due to a lack of interest, the program has been discontinued. And although the job may be difficult, it's not impossible. If you're interested in becoming, or if you're interested in getting more information and becoming a court reporter, you can go to our website. Just go to CBS7.com. In an effort to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas failed Tuesday after a Texas congressman cast a key vote. In an attempt to remove Mayorkas, House GOP leaders have accused the Biden appointee of committing high crimes and misdemeanors for his handling of the border. However, 4 Republicans went against the party on Tuesday and voted against that legislation, claiming the evidence against Mayorkas does not rise to the level of impeachable offenses. The vote ultimately failed after Representative Al Green showed up and voted no. The Democrat wasn't expected to be there because he was recovering from a recent surgery.
Whether it made a difference or not, I intended to cast that vote. And there are times when you can't do enough, but on those occasions you have to do all that you can.
The final vote came down to 214 in favor, 216 against after one Republican flipped his yes vote to no, a procedural move that will allow the legislation to be revisited. Democratic Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro now pushing for new legislation to try to disrupt the flow of guns that travel from the U.S. into Mexico, the Caribbean, and other parts of Latin America. The congressman introduced the America's Regional Monitoring Arms Sales Act, or ARMAS Act, in Congress recently. He says it would transfer the oversight of small arms exports from the Commerce Department back to the State Department. That's where it used to be before the Trump administration transferred the authority. Castro hopes that will cut down on the number of guns getting into the wrong hands across the border.
What happens is cartel members basically end up getting their guns from the United States, from people that traffic them into Mexico, but also the United States government sells arms to the Mexican military, for example, and the Mexican government, and those small arms sometimes end up in the wrong hands. And so this piece of legislation aims to provide greater oversight to start to get in the middle of that and to stop it, hopefully.
Now, Congressman Castro admits this legislation may not pass because of the current makeup of Congress, but he's hoping it will begin talks about the issue and hopefully pass legislation at a later time. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's border security announcement is that the state will continue doing what it's doing, but will expand its efforts. Standing with state legislators in Eagle Pass today, he again blamed the president for illegal immigration at the border, but says what Texas is doing is worth it. KCBD's Case Wilbanks out of Lubbock has our coverage from the border.
On one side of what is Shelby Park is, of course, Eagle Pass and what has been this park's use, a baseball field and dugouts. And on the other side, that fortification by the state, including this razor wire. The governor says to expect to see more of this along the border.
If you see an area that is boxed off by a container that has razor wire on the container or on the ground or on the fence, those are areas that illegal immigrants were once able to cross.
Shelby Park, still a source of tension between the state and federal government, but now it's a staging ground for state border security efforts, and Governor Abbott says the lack of illegal crossings here now is because the state's efforts are working.
Even though Texas represents about 2/3 of the border, we represent only about 30% of the crossings.
Now the governor says beyond 160 miles of barrier already constructed on the Texas border, there will be more.
If you look at the amount of wall already constructed and the amount of wall that is going to be under construction, Texas will have built more of the Trump border wall than even Trump built in the state of Texas.
Abbott says the state is working on plans for more physical barriers and personnel along the border, touting what he says has been successful.
We are working with the Texas National Guard on strategies to both add and to accommodate more National Guard in this area. We will also work with the National Guard to continue their strategies of adding more miles of razor wire and anti-climb barrier.
Lawmakers say the state has already appropriated more than $11 billion on border security in the last 4 years. South Plains Representative Dustin Burrows says in the state capitol his colleagues are ready to deliver additional resources.
We have spent more than the federal government at some points in actually doing this. There's $6 billion or over $6 billion we appropriated last session to do exactly what you're seeing being done here.
And as bipartisan federal border security legislation fails to gain the support of most Republicans in Congress, Burrows says he does believe the federal government should appropriate funds to Texas.
Oh, I would love to see Congress reimburse us for what we've spent and continue to help pay for the operations that we're actually doing, which rightfully they should be doing.
But Governor Abbott says there's no need for new federal laws and welcomes challenges to the state's efforts.
We look forward to our day in court where we are able to tell America the way that Joe Biden is violating the laws that are on the books by Congress right now.
Texas House Democrats have called this event in Shelby Park a circus and border theater, hinting at upcoming primaries some state elected officials are facing. So there will be several things to watch for when it comes to the border. Does Congress try again to make changes legislatively? What happens in the courts as they consider state law and authority? And of course, what happens here on the ground? In Eagle Pass, Brittany, will send it back to you.
Still ahead, the weather forecast is looking a little chilly, maybe with a side of cornbread. It's not what you think. We'll explain up next. Now to a story that takes us in the kitchen now. How would you feel about team building through chili? That's exactly what the National Weather Service in Midland did today, as their meteorologists made the best chili, and then they were judged during the lunchtime with a chili cook-off. There was chicken chili, an all-bean chili, and all-meat chili. The National Weather Service invited some of its community partners like County Emergency Management, TxDOT, energy companies, and our very own meteorologist Justin Lopez was there as well. And chili isn't the only cook-off the Weather Service does each year. They also have a salsa cook-off.
Well, it might be a good time for some chili this weekend because we're going to see chilly temperatures. We'll talk about that. Talk about rain chances too, coming up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, let's take a look at the weather makers because we got a lot of weather to talk about here over the next 48 hours or so. Now, what we're watching, let me get on the screen here, is this system right here that's spinning across portions of the southwest U.S. That is going to head towards West Texas. It's going to slowly do it, but starting tomorrow late into Saturday, it's going to start to affect our weather. The first part of it, we're already seeing that. We're going to see another dose of clouds in our forecast, but then a cold front's going to arrive late Saturday into Sunday. It's going to have a little moisture to work with. Right now across the state, we're seeing plenty of clouds moving in across most of the state, except far west Texas, Texas Panhandle and the South Plains right now. As again, temperatures today, well, they were really close to where they should be this time of the year, but some of the coolest was right here in West Texas, down towards the mountain areas, where temperatures barely climbed out of the mid-50s this afternoon, thanks to all that cloud cover. Now, the West Texas Futurecast showing that we're going to see more clouds in the forecast. We'll stop here at 8 o'clock in the morning, showing you we're going to see a cloudy start and a cloudy day for most of Friday across the area. Moving in towards Friday night into Saturday, the clouds thicken up. We may see a couple of showers down across the Big Bend area into early Saturday morning, but once this system gets a little bit closer, well, it starts to snow across the Sacramento Mountains, but we could see a little spoke of energy, a little dry line start to set up late in the afternoon with a couple of thunder showers here from Sanderson, Dryden up towards Ira and the Big Lake area, and then spread east and move in across parts of the Concho Valley. A little more activity development as that dry line pushes off to the west. Then we'll see some better thunderstorms, it looks like here. Again, southeast Permian Basin, lower Trans-Pecos, maybe the central Permian Basin. and we could see a couple of patches of rain snow mix into the mountain areas and those higher elevations. And it looks like some of that may make its way in across parts of the extreme northern Permian Basin, but the ground's warm. We're not expecting any accumulations or travel problems with this. So for the rest of tonight, cloudy skies in the forecast, and that'll be the case for tomorrow afternoon as a west wind. Warm temperatures up a couple of more degrees out there, but again, the bigger changes are on the way with that front. Not only dealing with some of the moisture possibilities, but also colder air coming into the forecast on Super Bowl Sunday, lasting into the start of next week.
It's not just the fans and athletes preparing for this Sunday, it's also the halftime show performers. We'll tell you how they're preparing for the big day up next. Athletes aren't the only ones prepping for Super Bowl 58 this Sunday, which, by the way, you can see here on CBS7. Multiple layers of government, including 385 people from the Department of Homeland Security, are all working to secure Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas and safeguard the expected crowd of 65,000 people. Drones are prohibited, ride sharing is encouraged, and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says they are clamping down on fake merchandise. In fact, he made a request of the public.
My ask of everyone going to the Super Bowl or coming to Las Vegas this week is to remember, if you see something, say something.
The secretary emphasized there was no known credible threats at this time. Now, while the 49ers and Chiefs get ready for the Super Bowl, so are the A-list pregame and halftime entertainers. Danya Bacchus has a preview of the much-anticipated performances.
Usher is ready for his Super Bowl blockbuster, a show he describes as 30 years in the making.
You know, this is just really a testament of dedication. I don't have this moment by myself. All of my fans that I bring with me, each and every person that had anything to do with the music, the creativity, everybody is a part of this celebratory moment.
The 8-time Grammy winner says he wants to honor not just R&B music, but R&B performance and R&B spirit.
What I did is I was very mindful of my past, celebrating my present, which is here in Las Vegas, and thinking about where we're headed in the future.
Fans we spoke to are excited for the show.
I got my moves ready. I get dusting off the boots. Let's go.
Absolutely, positively, I can't wait.
And while Usher is certainly the headliner, there's also a star-studded lineup of pregame performers. Post Malone sings America the Beautiful. Andra Day performs Lift Every Voice and Sing, while country music legend Reba McEntire sings the national anthem.
It means that I get to sing a very special song for all Americans, people all around the world who have really worked so hard for our freedom.
The pregame and halftime shows will also feature American Sign Language performances by Daniel Durant, Angel Pinheiro, and Shaheem Sanchez. And it wouldn't be Las Vegas without betting angles. Fans are placing bets on how long the anthem will last and what song Usher sings first. Danya Backus, CBS News, Las Vegas.
All right, before we go, Tom's going to like this. This has to do with space. Astronomers have uncovered more evidence that one of Saturn's smallest moons, Mimas, is hiding a global ocean beneath its icy surface. How about that? A French research team suspects the ocean is about 12.4 miles to 18.6 miles deep beneath the moon's ice shell. In 2014, European researchers determined that either a rigid, elongated, and rocky core or a subsurface ocean caused the moon's rotation and motion. Now researchers say the evolution of the moon's orbit over time suggests that an internal ocean shaped its motion.
Yeah, interesting thing about that moon when it was discovered, or the images were taken of it back in the early 80s by the Voyager probe. It looked like the Death Star because it has this big impact crater on one side. I think it showed a picture of it there. But anyway, though, some neat stuff there to think that's just water underneath.
Yeah, water that's causing that to move.
Yeah, something else.
Yeah, there you go. That looks like the Death Star.
Yeah, there
You're
you
right.
go.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, though, for our weather, we are going to see another cold front roll in later this weekend. Possibly some showers with it.
All right, Tom, thanks. Thanks for watching us here at 9 on the CW. More news coming up tonight at 10.